Maybe you're not a true Yankee fan.
No, Cooper, Carter, you're at PNC Park.
Me? No, at Yankee Stadium.
No, you're not. That's PNC Park. It has
That's
the
PNC Park.
bridges in the back there, bud. Welcome to the Twin Stripe Podcast, where Carter doesn't know exactly where he's located, but he's the most beautiful stadium in all of baseball, PNC Park. And then we have Cooper in Yankee Stadium, of course. Today we are talking about the first week of Major League Baseball is kind of behind us. We had the Tokyo series to start, 3 games between the Dodgers and the Cubs. And then we've had one series for every team so far. So early reaction. Who's winning the World Series? Who's going to be terrible this year? Overreaction City with the Twin Stripe reporters. We are at the Twin Stripe Podcast. I am your facilitator, Zeke Sprague, and your hosts, Cooper and Carter. Let's get started, boys. So let's start with what we saw the first week from a team in the Tokyo series in the Los Angeles Dodgers. Just quick reactions. 2 for the Dodgers. The Dodgers haven't lost yet. They're unstoppable, it seems. Any surprises from the Dodgers? How are we feeling about their rookies or their Japanese contingent? Anything we didn't expect to see?
I
I
mean,
think that Roki Sasaki didn't do that well against the Cubs. And the Cubs let up a fight in both games. Still didn't come up that close. But I think they fought there. They stranded a lot of runners. I think that's one of the reasons why the Dodgers won that game. Because the Cubs stranded a lot of runners.
What do you think, Carter?
I mean, Dodgers just playing like Dodgers. Shohei Ohtani hitting a home run. The super team they are. Mookie Betts, Freddie Freeman, Roki Kasaki. I thought was going to do better. He got pulled a little early in his first start in the majors. We saw him crying in the dugout, which is kind of controversial, but we'll get to that later.
And he had a rough second start as well. He's had some location issues so far throughout the season. How long do you think maybe it'll take him to come along, Carter, to get those location problems under control?
I mean, it's all rookies. When they start out having their first games in a major league level, they're going to be a little sloppy, maybe not be their full self. Even the best of the best rookie pitchers are going to start slow. So I think he'll improve, though.
Cooper, do you think it's something to worry about for the Dodgers? They're 6-0, obviously. They haven't lost a single baseball game. But do you think this could hinder them long-term with their pitching staff?
I mean, it could a little bit if Sasaki doesn't pitches like this the whole season, but I don't think he will. I think he's going to be back into his regular form in a few weeks. I mean, he's supposed to be a superstar. He was like the ace for the Japanese World Baseball Classic, even with people like Yamamoto, Shota, and Manga on his team. Roki Sasaki's supposed to be like an ace for these Dodgers, and I think he will by the end of the season.
Well, let's talk real quick. Let's just move on from them. The Dodgers, we've seen what we've seen. Shohei's been unbelievable. He's been box office already in 6 games. But there's a team right behind them at 5-0 that haven't lost a game, and that's the San Diego Padres, who have beat the Braves back-to-back games, swept the Braves, who are coming into the season one of the best teams in baseball, and then in a 4-game series even, and then took their first game from the Guardians. How are we feeling about the San Diego Padres so far? Carter, I'll let you start with this one.
I mean, the Braves are a really good team. It's hard to sweep them for sure. I mean, the Braves had a little bit of injuries coming into the season, but they're still like a World Series contender, one of the best teams. And the Padres, their offense is playing very, very well. They're scoring a lot of runs. Xander Bogaerts had that double the other day, scored 2 people. Lucky to have my fantasy team. Oh. But yeah, their offense is doing very well, and the pitching is holding up, letting their offense just work their magic.
How are you feeling about it? Do you think this 5-0 start will make them a long-term contender to the Dodgers in the West? Cooper?
I don't think they'll be a long-term to Dodgers. I think they're going to be one of the best teams in the NL, possibly. I think they could definitely beat the Dodgers. They have the talent. I just don't think that. I think the Dodgers have too much pitching, too much bullpen. I mean, their bullpen has been holding up really well. Wandy Peralta has 2 wins from the pen. Nick Pivetta had a good start. Michael King, Dylan Cease did 2. They're playing really good right now. Jackson Merrill's playing good. As you said, Xander Bogaerts, Manny Machado. All those players are playing really good right now.
Well, I know you guys wanted, so let's go away from the West. I just wanted to touch on that because we have two undefeated teams that have showed off really well in the West so far, 6-0 and a 5-0 team. You guys want to talk about some interesting matchups from the first weekend. One of the most interesting matchups might have been between two teams that most people don't see going far, the Pirates and the Marlins. The Pirates getting walked off on 3 out of their first 4 games. They got lost 3 of 4 to the Marlins, all by walk-off. How do we see that crazy series coming down, Cooper?
Wait, what do you just ask me?
What kind of takeaways do you have from that series? Anything important, or is just kind of two bad baseball teams kind of having?
I think they just played some good baseball in the late innings. I don't think they're going to be a contender in the NL East. I think they're going to lose over 100 games. I don't think they're going to be a contender. But I do think one of the best matchups, besides that, obviously, was the Blue Jays and Orioles. They split the 4-game set 2-2, and in the first game, the Orioles blew out the Blue Jays 12-2. Cedric Mullins hit 2 home runs. So did Adley Rutschman. They had a combined 6 bombs. But the next day, Blue Jays responded with an 8-2 win as Kevin Gausman got the win. The day after, the Orioles won 9-5, and they nailed down the coffin early, scoring 8 runs by the 5th inning. 2 days later, the Jays beat the O's 3-1 in a nail biter, which was a 1-run game till Tyler Heinman hit a solo blast in the 7th. That's a recap of that series. I think it was a great series all around. And the Orioles, I think, could have maybe swept the series if they had 2 of their best players. Gunnar Henderson, he didn't play, and Colton Cowser got injured late in that series. I think the Orioles' offense is possibly one of the best in baseball, but without Henderson and Cowser, it's a little suspect.
I mean, yeah. Can I also share a matchup I think was the best?
Yeah, go ahead.
I think the Reds and Giants, 2 teams that aren't really playoff contenders, really. They aren't the best teams, but they had a very good matchup. The Giants started the season off a good note, getting the opening day win by a score of 6-4. It was a very big chance the Reds would prevail in that ball game when they were up a run in the 9th inning. But William Flores heroics kicked in and hit a game-saving 3-run homer in the 9th. But the Reds came back the next day and got a win in a tight 3-2 victory, spoiling the 3-time Cy Young Justin Verlander's debut as a Giant. In the series finale, the Giants took care of business, picking up a 6-3 win. In this game, the Reds had back-to-back homers, but it didn't matter. The Giants moved on to 2-1 in this tight series.
Understand some fun, exciting extra stuff going on like you said, with teams that not necessarily looking to make the playoffs between the Marlins and the Pirates, and then your matchup that you had, Carter. But 2 teams in the AL East that are looking to catch up to the Yankees, having that great matchup with the Orioles and the Blue Jays. 2 teams that are, most people feel like, on the border of making the playoffs, might be in that wild card hunt. The one that had more question marks was the Blue Jays. How do we feel about them so far throughout the first week, Carter? Since Cooper already kind of touched on them a little bit.
The Blue Jays are, a borderline team. They have Vladdy. He's just outstanding. One of the best first basemen in the league. Pure power. Bo Bichette. And, I mean, they got a lot of pieces this offseason. I think that they're going to just barely make the playoffs. And for the Orioles, I think they lost a lot of key pieces this offseason. They don't have a great ace pitcher. So I think that they are going to miss the playoffs this year.
Look, as you said, the Blue Jays added some pieces. Anthony Santander, Andre Jimenez. I think their offense is also going to be one of the best in baseball. You have Vladdy, Bichette, as you said, and then Santander and Jimenez. They have some other pieces in Alejandro Kirk and more. So I think their team's going to be really good this year. I think they're possibly going to make the World Series.
Ooh,
yeah, I know
Cooper
was really high on them at the beginning of the season. But they're both chasing. Let's get to them, and we'll obviously go around the rest of the league as well. But let's get to those Yankees that are 3-0 so far, and the torpedo bats and hitting home runs left and right. 20 runs in one game, 12 in the next against the Brewers, who I'll get you guys' takes on the Brewers afterwards because they've been in the playoffs for a while now, but this might be the year maybe they fall off. how sustainable is this Yankees offense even without Soto in the lineup anymore? They're still putting up crazy amount of runs, Cooper.
I mean, you have Paul Goldschmidt. He's going to have a great year. He gets on base a lot. Bellinger's looking for a bounce back year. He's still young. He could have an awesome season. Aaron Judge, he's the captain. He's our MVP. He's going to hit 50 home runs if he's healthy. And then Jackson Jr.'s a great protection for Judge. He hit 2 home runs after they walked Judge. And fifth, you have Volpe. Volpe hit 2 home runs this weekend. Volpe's playing great. Austin Wells also has 2 home runs. He's going to be a platoon at the leadoff spot. And then you also have Jason Dominguez. He might not be playing awesome right now, but he's a rookie. He'll get it together. Then you got people like Ben Rice, Oswaldo Cabrera, Trent Grisham, Oswald Peraza, Pablo Reyes. They could play a big impact on the Yankees this year. I think the Yankees have a potent lineup, and I think they're going to hit the most home runs in baseball.
Well, they have a stadium that enables them to do that, Carter. What do you think?
I mean, I just want to say torpedo bats are totally legal. Players have used very similar bats last year in all of history of baseball. They even
I don't know
did.
about that.
Oh, it's trusted last year.
Giancarlo Stanton did use one in the playoffs last year. For some reason, it did not get much.
The Cubs used it last year, and
Trevino
and Jose Trevino did too.
Yeah.
And they checked with the MLB. It's totally legal. All they did was just move the fat part of the bat down a little bit.
Yeah.
They even used it in one of their spring training games. So
I don't think there's any in my mind. From working for Victus for 2 years before I started coming back to camp with you guys, and that's one of the bats that was used. That's Anthony Volpe's bat. People that supply his bats, and the Phillies. Alec Boehm had a torpedo bat in his hand yesterday, in the game. So yeah, they're completely legal, just a little different shape, and it just blew up because people feel like they had never seen anything like it before. How much? But the thing was, Aaron Judge is the one that's again still hitting all the home runs, and he's not using one.
I mean, it's Aaron Judge. Aaron Judge, natural talent, natural power. It's Aaron Judge just being himself, being the MVP he is. He's at a whole new level this year, and I didn't think he could do any better than last season or 2022, but here he is now, and I think we're better without Soto, and everyone's going to be like, what? But they got Cody Bellinger, Paul Goldschmidt, Max Fried, Devin Williams. I think all those guys are better than Soto.
No. Maybe all combined, but no. Yeah. We know how good Juan Soto is. Keep going.
You see how Cody Bellinger's doing, hitting all the homers, getting all those RBIs? They wouldn't have gotten him if they spent all that money on Soto, which I think was so much overpaying. And Paul Goldschmidt, he was hitting homers too. Like, they are much better without Soto.
As a team, maybe as a whole, I would agree with you. I think they have more depth, more flexibility.
Juan Soto was slow. He didn't steal bases. He was a terrible fielder. He didn't hustle the first base at all. He brings terrible vibes to the dugout. I just didn't like Soto.
I don't think you had been saying that in the middle of last year when he was going off for the Yankees and carrying them through the playoffs along with Giancarlo Stanton. But I understand you're a little slighted, and that's okay. So let's go on. We're excited about the Yankees offense. How do you feel about their pitching staff after the first weekend? That was kind of the question heading into the season, Cooper. What have you seen from the guys on that side of the ball?
Yeah, so Rodon, I think he pitched great. He needs to pitch 5 innings, be a consistent pitcher. I think that's what he needs to do. And their bullpen is one of the best in baseball. Devin Williams did look a little suspect when he got that first save, but still, I think they're going to have one of the best bullpens in baseball. The second day, Max Fried didn't get much help from the defense. He didn't have a lot of hard contact. I think he pitched great. And then Stroman on Sunday, he was decent. I think he was better than what the Yankees expected. He didn't have too much runs. I think that their starting rotation is going to be good. Will Warren is pitching tonight against Corbin Burns, but let's see how that one goes. But
yeah, I was going to say,
still, I think the bullpen is going to have to play well, like they did last year. No, Luke Weaver played awesome last year. So did Jake Cousins. A lot of their bullpen needs to step up like they did last year.
Yeah, now they're facing a team in the Diamondbacks who people have high hopes for the regular season. 2-2 but they're facing a guy they faced a ton last year, obviously, in this start where he was the Orioles. So Carter heading into tonight, how you feeling about Corbin Burnes and the Yankees seeing a guy they faced a decent amount of times last year?
Real quick, I just want to talk about the Yankees pitchers. It doesn't matter if they do amazing, as long as they just do average. Their offense is going to carry them. I know they're not going to score 20 runs every game, but come on, their offense is going all out electric, and their pitching is definitely holding up. We haven't signed most of the relief because they just put in some random guys I've never heard of because they're winning by so much. Besides the first game, put Devin Williams, Luke Weaver, but I think their pitching is gonna definitely hold up for sure. I mean, they're blowing guys out.
All right, so Carter, how do we feel about them heading into this series with a tougher team, at least in most people's eyes, heading into the season? The Arizona Diamondbacks are 2-2, heading into this series with the ace on the mound. How are we feeling? Is tonight the Yankees' first loss, or how are we feeling heading into this series?
I like the Yankees in the series. I mean, the Brewers are, I think I would have to say, easier team than the D-backs. But as I said, their offense, unbeatable. Like, how many times can I say it? Aaron Judge playing like Aaron Judge, the MVP. Their offense is electric. Their fielding, I think, could use some work. They had a few errors the other day. I mean, in most games when you allow 9 runs, 5 errors, I'm talking about the game where they scored 20 runs, that would be a loss. And they aren't going to score 20 runs every game, but their offense could definitely hold up. I think their offense is carrying this team far into the postseason.
I understand.
Yeah, just to talk about the Diamondbacks. On Sunday, they beat the Cubs 10-6 in a comeback victory. They scored 8 runs in the 8th inning. First, Geraldo Perdomo hit a 2-run double. The next at bat, Lourdes Gurriel hit a 2-run bomb. After that, Gabriel Moreno singled. Then Josh Naylor, a new piece for the Diamondbacks, hit RBI double. Then Eguino Suarez intentionally walked, and the two of them stole second and third. Then Ryan Nelson singled, bringing in Naylor, but Suarez was out of the plate. Alex Thomas then singled in Nelson, but the fun wasn't over. Corbin Harrell hit a booming double, bringing in Thomas, and that is one of the best games that I've ever saw. He scored 8 runs, boom, kaboom, kaboom, in the 8th inning, and took the lead for good.
Carter's waving to his fans out there at PNC Park, I guess. Very good. How do we feel about Corbin Carroll? He obviously had a phenomenal season and led them to the World Series 2 seasons ago. Had a little bit of a letdown season last year. What do we think after this first weekend, Cooper?
I think he's playing really good. That's the reason I drafted him in fantasy. I think he's a good player. He has a lot of speed. He can hit for average. He has a little bit of pop in him. I think Corbin Carroll's a good player. I really do. I think he could be a contender for the NL MVP.
Well, we feel like there's only one contender for the NL MVP. So I guess he's a contender for second place in the NL MVP race.
That's
So the only team we haven't touched on in the AL East is the Tampa Bay Rays. Many people were down on them heading into the season. But they took care of business against, obviously, a poor Rockies team, going 2-1 against them. Took the first game of their series with another poor team, the Pirates. Is this just them facing lackluster competition, or do we think maybe this minor league ballpark team could have some October potential?
I mean, playing in a new stadium, first of all, that's never good for a team. You don't really have a home field for the first few months of the season. I'm really big on that. But they're playing bad teams. The Rays are going to be the Rays. The Rockies are going to be the Rockies. And the Pirates are going to be the Pirates. And they're going to be close games between them. But, when the Rays play the Yankees, what's going to happen? They're going to win by, 30 runs.
All right, so Carter's definitely not high on the Rays at any chance.
Not at all.
Cooper, are they at least a 500 ball team, or are they going to be?
I think they're going to be a little under 500. Okay. I think they're going to be okay. I think they lost a lot of pieces last year, and Randy Arozarena, and a lot of their players are very young, rookies. Their pitching staff's not that good. Shane McClanahan's on the IL. I just don't love the Rays. I think they'll be a decent team though. Also, by the way, Cameron Miser, his first career home run on Friday against the Rockies, but it wasn't an ordinary home run. It was a walk-off. Great time to have your first moonshot if you think about it.
Yeah, can't get much better than that. How about, I just forgot his name, the guy that's hit a home run on 6 straight opening days. That's something I know you guys want to talk about, some interesting things that happened in the MLB. What was his name?
Tyler O'Neill.
Tyler O'Neill. How about Tyler O'Neill hitting 6 straight opening day home runs?
I mean,
That's crazy because the most home runs in the history of Major League Baseball on opening day is 8.
With
And he's
Frank
already
Robinson and Adam
he's done it
Dunn in.
6. Yeah, he's done it 6 times in a row. I think he's going to do 2 more years in a row just to tie.
I mean, it's the week. It's opening day is the day of expectations. It's like any 162 game, any of the 162 games. It doesn't matter. It's like any game. It's like, oh, I'll hit 6 home runs on the same date. Like, it's cool. That's like a cool stat. I mean, but like, it doesn't matter. It's a regular season game. There's 162 of them.
What
I
do you
mean,
think?
Tyler
Peter?
O'Neill is one of those really good power hitting guys. He had 31 home runs for the Red Sox last year. I think he's going to be a huge contribution to the Orioles this year after they signed him. So, yeah, Tyler O'Neill's a really good player. And you're right, it is 162 games. It doesn't really matter if it's the first day or the last or the middle. It doesn't matter if it's the All-Star game. It doesn't matter. So, it's
But the
a home
one
run
thing
counts
I
as a
will
home
say
run.
is opening day is kind of a special day when it comes to baseball. When people that are clutch kind of come up to get people excited for the season. You look at the 3 people that lead that list above him. Frank Robinson with 8, Willie Mays with 7, Eddie Matthews with 7. Those
Ken
are
Griffey
all
Jr.
Hall
with 8,
of
Adam
yeah,
Dunn with 8.
those are all Hall of Famers, except for maybe Adam Dunn probably won't ever be a Hall of Famer, but those are all big time names. So I guess maybe if Tyler O'Neill gets the option to actually like get in the playoffs and step up in a clutch position, he can step up on clutch days like opening day. That's the only thing I guess I could say about that.
I mean, opening day is just internal. It's in your mind. It's just a normal game, and for the fans, it isn't at all. But for the players, it's just like a normal game. It doesn't. It's just like you see their team on the first day, and it's like, oh, they did really good, and then they lose the next 161 games. Like,
Yeah.
it's just a game of expectations. It's not like it's a spring training game.
It's not, but I understand what you're saying. It's a big deal. I mean, it should be a national holiday almost with a national pastime. I want to talk about something weird here in the American League West. The Angels, who are by far the worst team in the American League West, according to most people, currently are 3-1. And you think, oh, Mike Trout must be off to a hot start because he's one of the best players in baseball when he's healthy. Solid 1 for 13 to start the season. How the heck are the Angels 3-1 when Mike Trout went 1 for 13 over the weekend?
Well, I'll tell you why. They played a team that's worse than them, the White Sox.
The White Sox are 2-2. They do have 2 wins so far, which is almost more than they had last year. But yeah, go ahead.
And their second best players hurt, Zach and Neto. I mean, how were they winning games? I mean, I get it's the White Sox, but still,
The White Sox
like,
don't have a star. Like, they just don't.
Yeah, you look at the one game they won 1-0 on opening day, 3-2 the second game, and then not opening day. They lost on opening day 8-1. You thought, all right, maybe this is more the same for the Angels, but they found ways. Then the White Sox became the White Sox again. But how crazy is that? 1 for 13.
Who is even starting for the White Sox on opening day?
yeah, like their pitchers.
Pitching?
And the Angels starting UC Kikuchi, and he struck out 200 batters last year. He was a good pitcher. And then
The White Sox started Sean Burke. He went 6 innings, 3 hits, 3 strikeouts, no earned runs. The only run was given to their closer, Cam Boozer. But Cam Boozer at that point is Cam Boozer came in for the last inning. It was already 8-0 at that point. So whole lot of nothing in 2 terrible teams. But it's funny that Mike Trout had absolutely nothing to do with the fact that they're 3-1 so far to start.
I mean, yeah, well, like the White Sox went to having one of the worst seasons in all of baseball history to losing their star pitcher Garrett Crochet to the Red Sox. How are they gonna hold up?
Like, and Garrett Crochet just announced last night he's getting a 6-year deal from the Red Sox, so he's going to be an opponent of the Yankees for a while now. How are we feeling about that as Yankee fans, having to face him for the next 6 years?
Garrett Crochet is a really good pitcher. He's one of the guys who's very consistent. He's always a contender for Cy Young. I'm very upset right now as a Yankee fan.
How are you feeling,
Cruiser? I had no idea he was having a contract. But yeah, Garrett Crochet is a really good guy. He's a big strikeout guy. I think it's going to be tough for the Yankees, but they have one of the best offenses in baseball. So for this year, I think they're gonna find a way to get to him still.
Yeah, 6 years, $170 million for Garrett Crochet announced this morning. So we'll see how that affects the AL East race for the next part of the decade. So we talked about pretty much everybody in the AL East. We touched on the White Sox. We really don't need to go there. That whole division's 2-2 or below. No one really knew what was going to happen in that division. I feel like we still don't after the first week. Nothing definitive happened at all. The NL West, we touched on the NL Central. The Cardinals surprisingly out to 3-1. The Brewers are 0-4. So maybe this is finally the year to drop off for the Brewers. Are we feeling that? Is that what we're thinking?
I think it's going to be a little drop off for the Brewers. I think they'll be about 500. I think the Cubs are going to take the division. One thing I did see, I think the Pirates might have a chase at the division. I mean, they have maybe one of the best teams in stealing bases. They have O'Neal Cruz leading the league in stolen bases with 5, and Isaiah Kiner-Falefa has a few stolen bases. A lot of their players are stealing bases at a great rate. Yeah, I'd say the Pirates are going to be a decent team this year in that division.
Well, they need to find some offense because right now they're 1-4 to start the season. Lost, like we said, a few heartbreakers to the Marlins, so maybe they'll bounce back to that. The Cardinals, like we said, surprisingly 3-1, but I don't know if I'd read into that much unless Nolan Arenado all of a sudden becomes younger Nolan Arenado again. So let's move to the NL East before we guys get some other stories that you guys wanted to talk about. The Phillies took care of business. The Marlins we already kind of touched on. How do we feel about your boy that you guys were trashing on and Juan Soto in his start with the Mets? He does have a home run. The Mets are 2-2. Their pitching is up and down, is what we kind of expected. So how do we feel about the crosstown rivals after 4 games?
How can you lose the Astros? Astros are terrible. How can you? Like,
yeah, the Astros still are going to be a decent baseball team.
Juan Soto hit a home run. I think he's going to have a step back after not having Judge to back him up. So I think they're going to give him a lot more intentional walks. So, yeah.
Well, I mean, he has the polar bear hitting behind him as far as I know.
But the polar bear only hits like 220 every year.
Yeah, but he's dangerous. He hits home runs. Soto's hitting 308. Soto's on base percentage through 4 games is an even 500. So I think we can say that he's still being okay, even though you guys have trashed on him earlier. But let's look up like what do we have for wow, I just forgot his real name because I just call him the polar bear. Pete Alonso. Yeah, let's say Pete Alonso so far is hitting 231. Why you called it exactly 1 home run, a 412 on base percentage. So I mean, if he's above 400 for on base percentage for the year, it's going to be tough to pitch around Soto, and because one swing of the bat, Pete Alonso is just as good at putting the ball out as almost anybody in Major League Baseball.
I think he's.
Go ahead, Carter.
He had a 250 average or something like that. So I think his batting average went a little bit up, but he sacrificed the home runs for that. So he only hit 30 home runs last year, which he's usually a 50-40 home run hitter. So let's see what Pete Alonso can do this year.
All right. The bottom of that lineup, go ahead, Carter.
I mean, Pete Alonso's really good. He has a lot of power. I think he's very good to pack Juan Soto up, but is he Aaron Judge?
No.
Right? No, he isn't.
Aaron Judge
he's very good. Don't get me
baseball.
wrong. Yeah, but Aaron Judge is, the MVP. I mean, like, Aaron Judge is Aaron Judge.
Yeah, so we touched on this a little bit earlier when we talked about the Padres, but the Braves are 0-5. They unfortunately have to face the Dodgers 2 more times. They talk about a hard start to the season. A 7-game road trip against the Padres and the Dodgers. Then they get to come home against the Marlins. So do you think we just won't know who the Braves are until they've played a few games not on the West Coast? Carter?
Well, I'd say for the Braves, I mean, Spencer Strider and Ronald Acuna and Sean Murphy are all in the IL. Strider's coming back soon. Acuna is going to be back by like early May. Murphy will be back by late April. So I think once their main pieces get back in the lineup, they're going to be one of those contenders in the NL. Maybe even stop the Dodgers from going another World Series.
I understand the Phillies so far have done what the Phillies were supposed to do, or 3-1 starting the season. But they play each other in a series in Atlanta in about a week. So do we feel like that if the Phillies take 3 out of there, how far do the Braves can they fall behind the Phillies without being afraid of coming back?
I think that the Phillies are probably going to win the division just because of these injuries earlier in the season. I think it'll be close. I think the Mets aren't going to be that close because I think the Phillies and Braves are just better and they have a complete lineup and better pitching. But I just think the Phillies are going to take the division just because of the injuries. I think Spencer Strider's coming back earlier than we thought. So I don't know. It's gonna be interesting to see who's gonna win that division.
What do you think, Carter? Or should we not?
I mean,
Should be panic for the Braves if they lose these next two to the Dodgers, and all of a sudden they're starting the season 0-7, or is it just like, listen, we had a tough draw having to face those two teams the first 7 games?
I mean,
on the road?
yeah, they just started off with a tough schedule. 2 big injuries, Ronald Q. Jr. and Spencer Strider. I think we have to wait for them to come back, play like an average team. We can see who the Braves really are.
All right. So you talked about the injuries the Braves have. Anybody else whose injury you think is really affecting what's going on so far for their team?
Sean Murphy. I think Sean Murphy's one of the best catchers in all of baseball. They don't have like an awesome catcher now. They called up that really good prospect. What's his name?
I don't know. I can look it up for you though. Keep going. Keep talking.
Yeah. So I think the Braves are a really good team, and I think once they get a lot of their pieces back, it's Chadwick Trump.
I don't know. Name that is Chadwick.
Chadwick.
The only other Chadwick I knew was Black Panther. Chadwick Boseman.
No, I think it's Drake Baldwin.
Drake Baldwin. That makes more sense. I think I've heard that name. So.
Yeah, he's the rookie.
All right. So, any other injuries? What about you, Carter? Any other injuries that you're hoping get resolved quickly here and come back to the lineup to help a team as we start the season?
I mean, the Orioles lost Gunnar Henderson and Colton Cowser for very short times, both on the 10-day list. But that's definitely going to affect them. Those are 2 very good young players on this Oriole team, and the Orioles are made of good young hitters. So I think that's going to affect them a lot.
All right. Well, let's talk about something that's not exactly injury reasons. But Jurickson Profar all of a sudden talking about the Braves, who are already missing people that you talked about, is suspended for 80 games because of the PED usage. Cooper, how's this going to affect the Braves in the East?
Well, I think without the PEDs, Jurickson Profar isn't the great hitter. He wasn't great before last year with the Padres, and it was found that he's using steroids that last season. But now they don't have a leadoff hitter, so I don't know how that's going to affect the Braves. I think it might hurt them a lot, though.
What do you think, Carter?
I mean, yeah, leadoff hitters are one of the most important positions. Them and the fourth hitter and third hitter. But yeah, I think a leadoff hitter is very important, and without a good one, I think that the Braves are kind of in trouble.
I mean, once Ronald Jr.'s back, he'll be the leadoff hitter. But I mean, Jurickson Profar, I don't know how his career is going to shape after this. I mean, he wasn't an awesome hitter before last year. He was All-Star. He had the All-Star nod, but I don't know. Jurickson Profar. A lot of the Padres outfielders have used steroids. I mean, Tatis and then him.
Yeah. All right. So we talked. You guys have said you want to talk about some random, interesting stuff around the Major League Baseball. Carter, you have anything random that was interesting outside of those dang torpedo bats that took over the headlines this week?
I mean, there's only 3 undefeated teams coming in today. Those teams are the Yankees, Padres, and Dodgers, who we all covered. They did great against potential playoff teams, most of them. All of them were really good last year, too. I mean, yeah. I mean, usually there's more teams that are undefeated by this time. I mean, one of the teams played 6 games, one of them played 3, but still.
6, 5, and 3 so far for those 3 teams, and how many games they've started off the season winning. Which team loses first, Carter?
Which team loses first? Good question. I think I have to go Padres. I think they just are a less stable team. They have more holes than the Yankees and Dodgers, and Dodgers is a super team. So yeah.
So they'll be playing the Guardians tonight and tomorrow, both at home. The Dodgers, like we said, get the Braves both at home, and then obviously the Yankees start their second series at home against the Diamondbacks. So I guess it's a home cooking thing because each team has not played a game. Well, the Dodgers played technically 2 road games in Tokyo, but we all know those weren't road games. Well, I thought they were the away team. Maybe they were the home team. Keep going.
Yeah, I think Christian Campbell for the Red Sox, he was the second best prospect coming to this year. He's a starting second baseman now, and it's on a tear, 375 with a home run and 2 RBIs. Campbell looks to have a bright future and is gonna be a star in this league. I think he is one of those guys who's gonna be instrumental for the Red Sox this year.
The heck? Google's got everything all screwed up. They had the Dodgers facing the Tigers in their first series. Obviously, that is not true.
Wait, what?
Yeah, Google's got things screwy.
That's a second.
What?
That's second.
Yeah, it doesn't have the. Oh, the Cubs is all the way back here. Never mind. They had the Angels spring trainings after. Yeah, so the Dodgers were technically away when they were in Tokyo. They were the away team. I was correct. I thought I did remember correctly. So, all right. What about you, Cooper? What's your random interesting thing that's happened around Major League Baseball?
I just did it.
What did you say?
Christian Campbell.
Oh, Christian Campbell. Sorry, I was distracted by looking up things. Christian Campbell. I'm sorry. All right, sounds good. Let's move on to the final thing. What's your number one overreaction that you have after 3 or 4 days that you've heard that people are overreacted to, or that you're going to make a bold prediction about because of the first weekend of the game? What do you got, Carter? Any overreactions for me?
Well, I have an overreaction, but not about a team, but torpedo bats. They are totally legal. I've said this so many times. It's just the big part slid it down. Players have used very similar bats before. It's such an overreaction. Just because of the Yankees, just because they're doing so good, it just makes torpedo bats this whole big thing.
Yeah, because Yankees are going to be under more scrutiny than any other team in baseball. It's just it's the nature of the beast, being 28-time world champions or whatever the heck it is at this point.
Yeah, 27.
27-time world champions. They haven't won since you guys have been alive, but they do have 27 of them hanging up there in the rafters. So they're going to be under more scrutiny. They're in New York. It is what it is. If it was any other team, it probably would not have nearly the coverage that the Yankees got. The ballpark helps too, obviously, especially for short pitches. But all right, Cooper, what's your overreaction? All of a sudden, Cooper's audio went to crap.
Yeah.
He hit the dang button again, I think. All right, Cooper, can you talk now?
I like Lonzo. Everybody's saying he's so bad. He's so bad. I think just because the Mets lost, I don't think he is that bad. It's hard to say from a Yankee fan, but Alonso is going to lead the Mets to the playoffs. It's kind of obvious at this point.
Yeah, his numbers will tell you right now that he's not bad. He's phenomenal. Like we said, he's in his first 4 games has 500 on base percentage. So you're getting on base half the time, and you're doing your job as the best player in the thing. Did he get overpaid? 1,000%. Anybody that doesn't think he got overpaid is crazy. He got almost Shohei Ohtani money, and he only plays on one side of the baseball. So that is what it is. Any final closing thoughts for this episode of the Twin Stripe Podcast, boys? What we got? Any final thoughts?
No, not really. This is just a crazy week in opening day baseball. Opening week
really is.
Awesome week. We're excited for 150 some more games, depending on your team, how many more you have left. We'll be talking throughout the season. Well, up until June, and then we'll stop talking. Then we'll start talking again in the fall. But this has been the Twin Stripe Podcast with Cooper and Carter. We'll talk to you next time.